there are a lot of dental implant places, as we know. Why Nuvia?
I was very skeptical walking in that Nuvia office, and to know that I could walk in on a Monday, then walk out on Tuesday with a brand new set of permanent teeth, that was a game changer for me.
My dentist would have to prescribe me Valium just to walk through the doors. The people in Nuvia took all that fear away from me.
There's so many parts of me that were affected by not having teeth that are so much better now. It's just completely different.
But before we get started, I do want to kind of try out a little experiment, do a little poll. So raise your hand if you've ever been insecure about something, no matter big or small. Think of something specific too. Keep your hand up, keep your hand up. Now keep your hand raised if that insecurity has ever held you back from doing something you wanted to do. All right, now keep your hand raised if you would willingly come on stage right now and talk about that insecurity in front of all of us. All right, that's what I thought. Well, that's why this panel is super important today, because these incredible people, our Nuvia patients, came on stage and they're willing to open up about something that used to be their biggest insecurity, which was their smile. And though their lives are a lot different now, they are coming on stage to basically relive their past. So give them a huge round of applause for being open and vulnerable with us today. It takes a lot of courage to go into that first appointment to get started. So after talking with all of you guys on the podcast, I kind of learned that there is a deeper reason why a lot of you guys decided to come in, and a specific moment sometimes that happens for, reach your breaking point. So I kind of want each of you guys to answer the question of, what was your deeper why for going in and getting something like dental implants done? And Ricky, I want to start with you, because you've opened up before about you were at a banquet and you couldn't chew the food, you couldn't chew the steak there. So can you kind of tell us that story and share us that deeper why?
So I was at the head table at a banquet, and just like this, everybody was staring at you, which is not a great feeling. And of course, the banquet food was less than desirable. And I was cutting the steak, and I realized I couldn't chew it anymore. That's how bad I had neglected it, because I kept kicking the can down the road. And I had everybody's looking at you, so it's not like you can just spit it out on your plate, or you're going to be the guy that everybody's over there kicking while you're on the ground, choking and stuff. So I decided I needed to do something, and I was sick all the time, and I went to somebody told me, they said, hey, you ever thought it could be your teeth? And so I ended up going to many places, and I ended up at Nuvia. So
awesome. Thank you, Ricky.
So many things actually crossed my mind with this question, because there's many that did it. But what started was I was putting Band-Aids, constant Band-Aids on my teeth, trying to fix them, and nothing was sticking. I bit into a hamburger, and a crown that I had not even a year ago broke off into my hand. And I felt lost and devastated and hopeless, completely hopeless. I needed a solution. And I didn't know implants were an option until I found Nuvia. And so just being broken over and over again was the final straw for me.
Well, like Ricky, I was unable to chew. I had missing teeth on one side at the bottom and missing teeth on the other side at the top. So I was unable to chew food like I wanted to, like I was supposed to. My oral health was deteriorating. And I just got fed up. I just got tired. I knew something needed to be done. I wanted to take better charge of my health. And found Nuvia. That's it.
My situation actually started when I had children. I had 3 children back to back, and it caused calcium deficiency. But the dental providers kept doing work on weak teeth. So eventually they kept falling out. But what led me to Nuvia was actually seeing my family enjoy Popeyes. Y'all love Popeyes. And I wanted to take part in it. My husband's like, you sure? And I said, yeah, I'm gonna eat it. But as soon as I bit that delicious chicken, I broke a tooth. And I started to cry. And I said, Jesus, you need to fix it. I need you to fix it right now, fix it. And in the middle of my tears, I opened Facebook, and there was a Nuvia ad. And I took that as a sign, and here I am.
For me, my why really was the fact that I had so much that I wanted to share with people in the workspace, and I had lost all confidence in doing that because I was ashamed of the way that my mouth looked. But what took it was the fact that I was on my way to go on a work trip, and the week before, my front tooth fell out. And I didn't know how I was going to proceed. My husband knew how much that affected me, and he found Nuvia, showed me ads, and also I started going through all the testimonial videos, and I was hooked. I thought I finally found a place that could potentially help me. So that was my why behind finding Nuvia, and the rest is history.
I had severe trauma at 17. I lost most of my upper teeth. And so I had a flipper. I wore a flipper since I was 17 years old. And so as the years went on, teeth would fail, the anchor points would fail, and my flipper would get wider and wider and wider until, 3.5 years ago or so now. But it got to the point where a tooth, one of my major anchors was failing, and it was time. I couldn't really go much wider with my flipper anymore because it was too brittle. So yeah, like she said, we got online and started researching it, and 24-hour teeth came up, and that's when I made that decision.
I had dental situations since the age of 5. I would lose teeth. I would brush my teeth. My parents were like, "How do you have these cavities?" I'm a 70s child. Nothing really worked back then. I was called the jigsaw puzzle. I spent 2 years researching before I even found Nuvia. And here I am, 3 years later.
So for me, I came from a different spot in my journey. I had never had dental issues. I'm a disabled Army veteran. I had never had a cavity in my entire life, and one day I had no teeth. And for 10 years, I dealt with dentures, and I basically stopped living. And my why, and I'm not even being, dramatic about it. My why literally was I was at a low that I had never, felt. I hadn't left my house in a few years. I was the class clown. And call it divine intervention, call it the universe, whatever, but it was a Facebook ad that got me. And I was scheduled for full snap-ons through the VA that were free, and I was so dreading it. Had been scheduled for years. And I woke up that day and made my appointment, and less than a month later, I already had my 2-week appointment behind me because Michelle got me in right away and stayed until I got through every step of it in finance. Everyone's gone. Myself, Michelle, and my smile consultant are there, and it's 8 p.m. at night because she knew that I needed this. And I'm 2.5 years later, and I am happier and healthier than I've been in a very long time. So thank you, Nuvia.
Thank you guys all seriously again for being so open and vulnerable with us. I know it's not easy. The next question I want to ask is, there are a lot of dental implant places, as we know. Why Nuvia, right? And so I want to ask Ricky and Bishop this one specifically, but how did you end up trusting Nuvia? How did you know it was the right place to go? So Bishop, I want to ask you first. You called yourself Mr. Skeptical when you first walked into your Nuvia office, but somehow that changed. So can you kind of talk about how that happened?
It's true. I was very skeptical. I saw the Nuvia ad. I took the 60-second quiz. I set up my consultation, and I just knew that they wanted my money, And as soon as I got in the office, took those first steps, someone called me by my name. And then I heard that chime go off to realize that my money had been refunded. Unheard of. Okay, all right. So, then I think I was offered a cookie or something, and I had jokes immediately walking through the door. But they treated me like family, and I got to know everyone in that office. I was completely fed up with my situation and wasn't sure what I was going to do. Didn't know what to expect. But walking in that Nuvia office and to know that I could walk in on a Monday with failing teeth and poor oral health and walk out on Tuesday with a brand new set of permanent teeth, that was a game changer for me. So that's what what led my decision.
Ricky, I want to ask you, you have told us a story where you've been to 7 different places. So why Nuvia? How did you end up trusting that they were the right place to go?
So I'd been to all these places, and of course, anxiety and fear and doubt, and you're just like, oh my gosh, let me get to 80 and nobody's going to care what my teeth looks like. That's your brain is doing all kinds of stuff to make excuses. And finally, whenever I decided, I go to this place, and I don't know if Nuvia had geofencing on me or what, but I'm waiting in their room with people with a lot different, like grayer hair than me, and I kept seeing these ads on your phone because everybody's got their phone in their hand, and it was Nuvia ads, and I was like, wow, this is pretty slick. So whenever I went back, they were telling me they were going to have one person do everything. And I was like, you got to have more than 2 hands because somebody's got to hold my hand if I'm going to be awake for this. And so my biggest question was, what am I going to leave here with? She opens the drawer, she pulls out a denture, and she cuts the pink part out with an X-Acto knife, and she says, we're going to put this in your mouth for 10 months. Wasn't measured for my face or anything. And I said, you know what? Let me take this home and I'll think about it. And I walked out in the parking lot and I called Nuvia and Keller, and it was pouring down rain, and I got in my truck and they said, can you be here by noon? I said, I'll be there in 20 minutes. So I drove over there. I walked in and they already knew who I was, which was crazy. That's really, I thought they were geofencing me then and stalking me, but they weren't. But it made a big difference because I grew up watching Cheers. So I go in and I meet all these great people, and they do all this cool stuff, and they tell me it's not going to be one person. I'm actually going to have a hand holder and everything. And I said, well, I can't beat this. So I'm in a room with this fine-looking gentleman over here, Richard, and he said, you know what? This is whenever I knew that the culture at this company, that obviously it starts at the top and works its way down through everybody in this company, because Richard said, you have other options. You still have some decent teeth in your mouth. You could go do this. And I'd already checked on that, and the return on investment was not good. So I told him, I said, that's just not an option. And right then and there, when I knew he didn't want the money, he was more interested in me as a person, that was a game changer for me. And I couldn't help but say, okay, this is the place I was supposed to be. So.
Thank you, Ricky. Like Randy said, I think all of you guys are here for a specific reason, so thank you for sharing that. The next question I want to ask is specifically for you, Dennis. Even after saying yes to Nuvia, there are a lot of fears and a lot of doubts that patients will either hear from the family, their friends, even themselves. What kind of fears were going on through your mind? You did mention you had a lot of past dental trauma. So what fears were you having, and how did you overcome those fears? Who helped you overcome those fears?
Yeah, I mean, I had over 100 surgeries on my face and dental work. So I have a lot of PTSD. My dentist would have to prescribe me Valium just to walk through the doors. So fear was very big on me, and to sit in a dental chair took a lot. But the compassion that Nuvia gave me was the game changer. I mean, it took the fear away. Landon over here was the first person that actually wanted to hear my story. And I had a lot of trauma. So for somebody to sit there and engage with my story, that was the first time in my life. And this is 30 plus years of living with this trauma. And that's what got over my fear, was the people in Nuvia that took all that fear away from me. And it's hard to explain just walking through those doors and meeting these people. They're just family. And to get over that fear, by compassion. That's what it was. It was all of you people just treating me with respect for the first time in my life. It was pretty amazing.
And I think the coolest thing about your story, Dennis, is that you didn't go in only once. You actually went in twice. So can you talk briefly on that as well?
Yeah, I went in twice. I was trying to just, I don't know, I don't do things for myself. And so I went in for the top arch only because that's where I was missing most of my teeth. So what I went through, healing and the surgery and meeting all these people, and it was so incredible that 6 months later I was back in the chair getting the bottoms done. Like I said, I can't emphasize enough the compassion. That was my biggest thing. And just to feel comfortable in a dental chair for me was huge. So to go back 6 months later and do that whole thing over again, it was unheard of. I would have never thought I would be doing that, but now, I mean, I can't even look back. It's truly amazing.
Now I want to get to you, Sharala. You also went in twice, so another unique perspective here. And since you had your second procedure more recently, I want to ask you, did you notice any improvements from the first time you went in to the second time you went in? How is it different?
What was most surprising was that there was really some things that were the same, which shows the consistency of the process throughout the years. And so that really not necessarily surprised me, but it really gave me a sense of confidence in Nuvia and what Nuvia does. And also whenever we have the opportunity to share with others, whether they go to the San Antonio clinic or they go to the Keller clinic or they go to Tampa clinic, we know that their processes are going to be consistent. So that was one thing that was very good. I thought it was a positive from my top arch and my bottom arch. But the things that I found a little bit different, I went in with a different perspective the second time. I had a little bit more insight. I had been around the company for 3 years. I'd had multiple conversations with many people. And so I kind of knew what I was listening out for. But I think because I went with intention, I did see that the information that is provided to the patient was a lot more clear. There was a lot of clarity with things. There were maybe some questions that we had before that maybe wasn't explained as much in the 3 years ago that now there's a little bit more emphasis upon. And so I definitely saw that, just clarity in the instructions. And then the last thing was the technology. I saw an upgrade of technology from 3 years ago that also gave me a sense of confidence in the process too. So those were the differences that I saw between the top and bottoms.
I know another question on a lot of people's mind is, what happens if something goes wrong? And Ricky, something after surgery kind of came up with you, and so I want you to talk about what kind of happened and how it was handled.
You have a 2-week appointment, as y'all know. And before the 2-week appointment, I just had something going on inside my mouth. I didn't know what it was. I was like, oh my gosh. So I called and I said, hey, I know I got a 2-week appointment in a couple of days. It's like day 8. Can I go ahead and come in? And my doctor said, yes, come on in. So I get in there and they look in my mouth. I'm pretty used to that now. So she said, oh, this is what we have, and she explained it to me, and I may use the wrong terminology, maybe like a bone spur or something. She said, this is when I knew, like it was amazing. She said, Ricky, I'm your doctor. You're my responsibility. I'm going to fix it for you today. She gave me a little anesthetic. She fixed it right there. That's customer service. That's caring about the person that just walked in. People in today, they look for so many reasons to skirt responsibility and stuff. And these guys might not agree, but I'll tell y'all, I have the best set of teeth that Nuvia has ever done. So it's just amazing.
Awesome. Now I want to bring it over to Angel. We saw you come across our social media. You decided to post a video just on your own social media, on your own volition, about your Nuvia experience. And it was very detailed, it was very in-depth. And I kind of want to ask you, what made you inclined to go and post that on your own? What about your experience stood out to you for you to go and do that?
Well, first, my followers have been on this journey with me for my health for quite a long time, and so this was part of that healing journey. But the reason I wanted to mostly tell them about Nuvia is because Nuvia is not just a dental office. When I walked into Nuvia, even before then, when I got my phone call from Priscilla, and then I walked in and met Gretchen, and I had my consult with Nikki, and I talked to Janae, and I had Justin and Bella and Taisha, all three Baileys, Dr. Kakar, Maddox, and Yeager. The fact that I know their names is important to me. I was a person. I wasn't just a patient. I wasn't a number. Nikki cried with me when I was trying to figure out if I could even afford it. She said, "We're gonna make this work." And she sat there with me and she cried with me. My husband's just like, "Okay, but y'all just crying?" But Nuvia is special. You all are special. You are changing lives, whether you realize it or not. And I just wanted people to know if they were in a situation like I was, take that chance. Get off the fence. Give it a try, because you changed my life from the moment you called me to right now. And I thank y'all for that.
I just want to piggyback off of something that Angel said, and I would love to see you guys give yourself a round of applause for being the Dental Implant Restoration Company of the Year for 2 years consecutive.
For the last question, I want to talk about the unexpected. You all came in, you shared your why at the beginning of this, you shared the reason why you came in, but there are a lot of things that came from your experience more than you ever imagined, right? So I want to talk about that. Michelle, I want to start with you. I've talked with you on the podcast about, your career now. You're in school, you're wanting to be a counselor, and you said that was something that you never thought you could do before this. So I would love if you could kind of share more about that and kind of what direction you're heading.
In December, it'll be 5 years since I had my surgery. And had I thought about the 5-year plan when I got my surgery, it is so much better than how I could have expected it. Like sitting even up on the stage in front of you guys and not feeling insecure, I mean, it's huge. But I am in school. I actually decided to go back to college and pursue my counseling degree. I'm gonna go back and get my master's in therapy. I've always been a heart-centered person. I've always had that drive to go out and help people. I want to help them and help them heal and find their passion and go after it. And I have I remember feeling this when I was a little girl. I've always had it. But since I was 16, 17 years old, my teeth started failing and I couldn't show up. I couldn't talk to people. I hid myself and I couldn't do it. And up until I found Nuvia, which was still one of the single greatest blessings of my life, I was able to say, oh my gosh, I'm confident I can talk to people now. And I did it. I went back to school. And not only am I in school, but I'm killing it. I'm like so good at school because I'm going after something that I'm so passionate about. And I am going to go out there and I'm going to change as much as I can as a person, one person at a time. Sharing smiles is a universal language that we can all understand. And a compassionate smile and making eye contact with somebody it makes such a huge impact on people. We just don't realize it. And to be able to show up and smile and talk, just talk. to people. It's life-changing. You put it in God's hands and enjoy the ride, because this is so much better than I ever dreamed.
Thank you, Michelle. Trish, I want to bring it to you. You've also shared with me that you're no longer embarrassed, and you're even sharing your story on social media, everywhere. And that's something that you wouldn't have done before. So can you kind of talk about that transformation and how that was kind of, more unexpected than you thought?
I was excited for COVID. I was hiding behind a mask because I was embarrassed. I love going out. I love traveling. I wanted to let everybody know is that Nuvia saved my life. Many of you guys know, many of you guys don't know. The Phoenix team, love you guys to death. The doctors, love you guys. I went in, I was told I was a candidate, guys. 10 minutes later, walk, walk, walk. You're not a candidate. What did I say to you guys? Did I say something wrong? I'm sorry, your BMI is too high. You need to lose 50 pounds. I have a lot of medical issues. I can drink water. I can gain weight. I can eat candy. I can gain weight. So I'm like, how in the world am I going to lose these 50 pounds? My doctor says, okay, we have to do your every quarterly blood test. Okay, no big deal. I've got Hashimoto's, PCOS, thyroid, you name it, I got it. I was a medical nightmare when they had to clear me, I'll tell you that. But anyway, my doctor called me. She goes, I need to see you immediately. Can you get here by 7? That scared me. I go in, you have cancer. 1 week later, I'm on the operating table. 1 week later, we didn't get it. You have tumors. You have 10% chance of living. So there, I was like, I'm never going to smile again. I'll never smile again with my family. But I went back for surgery 2 and 3 in September. I had lost 40 pounds because I changed how I was eating for the cancer. I needed to survive for my family. I called the Phoenix office about 2 weeks after I got my notification I was in remission. And here I am. I called them. I got into the office. Dr. Slovin comes in. I think you have to tell me something, Tricia. Why didn't you tell me you had cancer? How do I bring this up to you guys? But if you guys would not have told me no, would I be here sitting with you guys here today? Probably not. So thank you guys for telling me no.
Trish, you are incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I do want to ask you one more question. How have you seen your confidence change after you've got this done? What is life like now?
Are you really wanting me to answer this in 2.2 seconds? The people that I've met, these hooligans that I get to spend time with, being in pictures, I am traveling like crazy. I went on an Alaskan cruise to celebrate my 50th birthday and my 1 year in remission. I took over 1,200 pictures. I didn't take pictures. If you look at my wedding picture 25 years ago, I was not smiling. From that far ago, I didn't smile. Like my mom said, I had issues since the age of 5. The competence is there. These guys call me Miss Shenanigans because I always find something for us to get in trouble with, have fun with. But what it is that I'm smiling. I'm out there. If you have a bump in the road, don't stop. Push through that bump because at the other end, you're much happier.
And Trish, you've shown that time and time again, so that is incredible. Randy, I want to bring it over to you. You've told me that your health has actually improved after getting dental implants, and I've actually heard that from a few of you guys here. So let's have Randy talk about it first, and you guys can chime in. But can you kind of talk about maybe what you saw change?
So when I went into this journey, as I was saying earlier, I went in for all of the reasons of, I had to figure out how to live again, because I was going through some health issues as well. You can only live so many years of swallowing macaroni and cheese whole. You can only, survive on so many things, and that was part of it. So I had gained weight that I had never gained. I started having stomach issues. My doctors were saying, you're not chewing your food, you're swallowing it whole, it's not good. All of these things just continued going. So I knew I needed to do this and all of these reasons, but what I didn't truly realize was that not only was I going to be able to be healthier by just eating, normal, and it was like, wait a minute, I've gone all these years, I can now eat raw vegetables, I can now eat salads, all the things that I actually loved and were gone. So I just started eating those things, and I started dropping weight and dropping weight and dropping weight. And I, just like probably most of us in this room, I have a gym membership. I have not used it. Every Monday, I say I'm going to, but I started this journey. I had never weighed, I'm a short guy, so I had never weighed over 200 pounds in my life. I started this journey at 238, and I'm down 2 more since we talked. I am now 146. And that, almost every bit of that comes from the fact that I can just eat healthy again. And I get to, be part of things. And that, what does that translate? It translates into, the happiness, Again, going back to the military. I suffer from severe PTSD. This was the worst thing that could have happened to me as a human being. And I don't know how, there were times I don't know how I was going to get out of it. But again, I do know how. And that's because I'm sitting right here, right now, and this process and everything that we did that went on and has changed my life. And it's mind-boggling because I'm happier, I'm healthier, I'm even taking less medications on the PTSD. And that's because of you all.
Yeah, you are.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Ricky, I want to come to you. You mentioned earlier that you felt sick all the time. You didn't know if it was because of your teeth. So whenever your teeth were pulled out on surgery day, when did you start to feel maybe differently?
So for years, like since 2018, I was sick all the time. And I had cancer, and they cut it out, and then they thought I had stomach cancer or something because they couldn't figure out why. I'd go to the bathroom at like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, just sick as a dog. And like every night, which probably had a big deal on my teeth not being so good also. So whenever I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me, besides the obvious, one of the doctors said, "You ever thought it could be your teeth?" Honestly, this is here. It's something you don't really think about. Millions of people don't think about that. And so whenever I went to Nuvia and they took them out, and I went home and slept really well, and whenever I got up the next day to get my teeth put in 24 hours, by the way, just throwing that out there, and I could already feel my body healing. It was the craziest thing. And here we are 3+ years, and I haven't been sick one single day since. So.
I want to touch on this as well, because before I went in to get my surgery, I was getting 2 or 3 really severe sinus infections a year. They were going to do a balloon sinusoplasty. I was getting this weird stuff in my ears. And after they had done my surgery, I haven't had a sinus infection since I got my teeth done at all, so I didn't have to go get that other surgery. And then the whooshing in my ears have gone away, and the dentist at Nuvia said I had so much impacted infection up around my body. I mean, that's scary because you don't realize that it's like everything is connected. But it really physically changed how I felt as well, for sure.
Which makes you a lot more pleasant to be around.
With 3 minutes left until the Q&A, Angel, I want to bring it to you because I know you have mentioned as well that your health has changed after the fact. So do you want to touch on that?
I actually was not able to really chew my food, obviously. So I was either taking big chunks, choking on chunks, or just trying to make it through. And then when I had a colonoscopy, endoscopy, they found I had a hiatal hernia because I was struggling. I had an umbilical hernia because I'm bulging. I'm trying to force food. All of those things were happening to me. Last year, I actually lost over 70 pounds without trying because I was that sick. They thought I had cancer. I'm still going through those tests, but because I did not have teeth, I was putting my body through things that it did not need to go through, and I didn't realize it. It was the most scary thing I've ever experienced in my life, but since I have my teeth, my BMI is better, my heart is better because I have POTS syndrome, my mental health is better. There's so many parts of me that were affected by not having teeth that are so much better now. My life is a completely different, it's just completely different. So thank y'all.
We've obviously learned it's way more than just the smile. All right, so now we're going to bring it to you guys. If you guys want to ask, raise your hand and then go ahead and ask your question.
Now that obviously all of you guys have gone through this incredible process and have incredible smiles, what would you say to somebody like who is in the beginning stages and like, did you regret anything?
No. No regrets. No, the biggest thing I say is I literally am just like, just trust the process and put your faith in, the folks who have studied this and this is what their job is. And then other than that, you just follow the orders and trust the process. Way more simple than it is when we were walking into that door that day. Trust me.
And I say this to potential patients on the Smile page, is that so many people are scared to walk through that door. I have dental PST, and when I walk through that door, it's family. They're still my family. I take them surprises every couple of months because if they were not there, I probably would not have done this because you are so scared of the unknown or being told no or being told that this is the only thing you can do, but it's going to take you 3 to 5 years. So once somebody can walk through that door and realize that they are not a number, that you are there to do what's best for them as a patient, that's what really matters.
I was on the fence. Like I said, Nikki cried with me. What changed it for me was she said, you deserve this. You deserve this. You've been through enough. Do this for you. That changed me.
I always try to tell people, it's really hard, like she said, you don't invest in yourself. But this process isn't investing in yourself. It's investing in everyone around you because you are happy. So everyone around you, your family, your grandkids, kids, cousins, mothers, fathers, everybody around you is happy. So it's not just an investment in yourself. You're investing in your whole life.
I also want to touch on what Dennis said because not just women, but humans in general, we tend to always want to take care of everybody else. It's take care of this person, take care of that person. When we put ourselves on the back burner, they need to know it's okay to put themselves first.
My question for you guys is, and we all know the answer to this, but for someone who just stumbled upon this video on YouTube and is interested in what you're saying, how long after your surgery did you actually get your permanent teeth?
24 hours.
All right, what?
To learn more about the cost of Nuvia's permanent teeth in 24 hours, download the cost guide in the description below.